evening, everybody, and welcome to the launch of Nikita's latest book, Letters to My Ex. Quite a fascinating title, and I'm sure you're all waiting to read it. I can say that I'm the lucky one who has read it already, and I love it. Congratulations, Nikita.
Thank you.
And I just can't begin to imagine how somebody so young has written so many books. This is her 10th book. Your 10th book, right?
11th.
11th, oh my god, I stand corrected. So this is the 11th book, and the first one was written when she was 19 years old. And it has not taken her 1 year to write one book. She's written more than that, so no guessing at her age. So how do you do this? How do you even find the time to write so many books, Nikita?
If anything, I feel like I've slowed down because in the first 2 years that I was writing, I published 6 books. And then after that, I've been doing 1 a year. So at this point, I feel like it's a compulsion. It's not that I have to find time to write. It's like I have to write in order to be alive and do other things. Because it's just, I think ever since, even when I wrote my first book, I was doing my graduation in pharmacy. And then I worked in Delhi, and then I studied in New York, and now I'm working. But like writing has been the one constant that I've kept because I've changed my careers and I've done so many different things, which I like doing. I like experimenting with a bunch of like whatever interests me. But writing is the one constant. I don't think I can choose to not write anymore.
I can totally understand that and relate with it. Today, as we see with the Write India, the project that we launched for the Times of India, a project to look for and identify some of the best writers of this country for the next generation, because everybody wants to write. We get thousands and thousands of entries. For season 1, we had 25,000 stories. I'm giving you the background because Nikita is the author of the month, February this month, for Write India, season 2. So all the more reason for us to be talking here together today. And for a person as young as her and as successful as her to be helping out others write and be successful writers is an awesome thing. And I think we all really appreciate that. So
yeah, thank you. I mean, when you first suggested that, I mean, there was no way that we weren't going to do that because it's such a great initiative. Because we were talking about this before. We talk about the book over here, but as soon as we open to interaction, all the questions are about how do I finish my book, how do I get over my writer's block, and how do I get published, and all those things. So it's such a great platform, Write India, because these writers basically act as your mentor. They select like your book and then get you published with the book that comes out at the end is a collection of short stories from one from each writer. So it gives you a platform to like kickstart your career as a writer, and it's just such a great initiative. I had to be a part of it.
Yes, absolutely, and we had to have you because you're already such a popular author that we had a lot of demand to have you as a season 2 Write India author. And those who participate in, as you know, they get published in a book, but it's not just one book. We're planning to bring out many more books so that we are able to give a chance to many more winners. So for instance, the winners of your month, you will be selecting the top 10 or the top 3 winners. They will get published themselves later on. So you would have mentored them and they come ahead. Now, coming back to the most important thing today, Letters to My Ex. Love, romance, you know, how the definition changes over the years and over decades and over centuries. From medieval times to Gothic romances to the 18th century love poetry to the 20th century war romances. Then it goes on to, let's come down to, you know, the Mills and Boon romances. And from there on to the reality romances that you people write. Like it's like your heart is thudding and bleeding, and you know, you even write that in the book somewhere that, okay, let me stop talking about it or thinking about it, let my heart bleed on mail or on
paper.
Paper, let it bleed on paper. So how do you...
Very dramatic.
Yes, yeah. So tell me a bit about your idea of romance and love.
I think it also changes with the people that you're thinking about when you're writing something, maybe. I think So we were talking about this before also, about the idea of love in this generation and how it has changed. But like, I've only experienced it in my generation, and I feel like as opposed to people in the West who are more casual, we still fall in love, and we still fall madly in love, and it's like obsessive, and it overtakes everything. Even though these characters are very driven and they have a full life, a well-rounded life with like family and social and environmental, like everything, like their atmosphere, their careers, and they're focused on all of those things. But then this one thing goes wrong in their life, and it kind of directs everything in that way. So I think these are characters who feel deeply, and this person, I think through this book, so basically they've been in a long relationship, and once they break up after like 5-6 years, she can't even understand how it happened and why it happened, even though she was the one who ended it. So she decides to write a letter to her ex, and she ends up doing one letter a year for a month for the following year. And in that process, she hopes to understand what happened. And because her feelings are so like jumbled in her head, that she needs to write it on paper and then maybe read it and figure it out, or figure it out while writing it. So I thought it was a way also for us to learn that she is an artist in a way, because the way she thinks is very creative, and to the extent that even in order to understand her own emotion, she has to write it down. So it was like a bunch of things that happened when I was writing this. But yeah, coming back to your question, I think her idea of romance was shaken by this one thing that happened between them, and she didn't realize that. They glossed over it and moved on, but it still affected the grand idea of romance and love, and she couldn't live with that. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. That's the story of the present book that Nikita was referring to. And the book begins with a couple having split, and letters to my ex. I mean, I'm not revealing anything about the book, you know from the title itself what it is all about. So what is very different in the writing is the structure of the book that Nikita you chose for this one. It's the epistolary style that you chose, a story told through letters.
Yeah.
Why and how did you choose that, and what was your inspiration?
To be honest, it was like a fun conversation between me and my publisher. We were thinking about, so I'm still going to continue the series that I was working on with Like a Love Song and Every Time It Rains. There are 2 more books coming. But we wanted to like take a break and do something that's quite a departure. And this is my 11th book, so like after 10 books, I wanted to experiment and write something different, which is like very radically, this one, especially with the structure of it, is very radically different from the traditional narrative that I've stuck to so far. I am the kind of person who writes long emails and like long text messages, and it's just, I thought that if she sat down and wrote these letters, that could be, and we only see that. We don't see the actual, like what actually happened. The story for us starts after the breakup, and then everything we find out is through the letters. So also she's not very reliable, because a lot of things are based on memories and emotions. So I just thought that it would be a great like format to work within. But then while I was writing it, I didn't want also for it to be one person sitting down and thinking and then writing like in her head. So I wanted it to be, every chapter to be different flavors. So then there are chapters where it's emails exchanged between them, and then text messages between them. There are chapters where it's written on paper and not shared with anyone. Sometimes it's written on email, sometimes it's a Google draft or stuff like that. So within that format, I tried to mix it up a little bit.
Yes, yeah, you varied it, and that kind of breaks it from becoming monotonous, because like you said, just an exchange of letters after a while may leave you wondering. And you've also got a chapter of narrative in there, where the author is speaking and trying to explain what happened. So it all makes for a very interesting package because of that, and you wish to rush through the story and figure out what happens next because it's through the letters and the text message exchange that you are getting to know what happened in the past, what's happening in the present, what is she thinking, what is he thinking, and what will happen in the future is also only going to come after that next. So, did you enjoy writing this book more than you enjoyed the others? Do you have another favorite book of yours?
I always, because I'm a marketer at heart, I always say the new book is the best one. But also, yeah. But yeah, this was very different for me to write, because I would go in and finish the whole chapter, because it was a letter, so you can't just stop writing a letter in the middle of a chapter. So this book happened really fast too, so it was pretty much done.
How autobiographical is it? Are there elements of you in the book? The protagonist, is she you?
No.
Even to some extent, because you say
maybe
in your
a
note
little
that
bit, yeah.
the only thing you knew about when you started the book was what is she thinking. You were inside her head already. You knew how she's going to react to everything.
Yeah, I think I also mentioned in my acknowledgement, my friend who thinks like this. I think we've had long conversations about things sometimes that make me think like she is exactly this character. I think a part of me, obviously, because I'm writing this, so it has to be like her feelings have to be coming from me. But otherwise, I don't think I'm too much like her. But I do have chapters in here that are taken from real life, because this was the whole chapter about like them talking about careers and what they want for themselves, and
there has to be some reality in that.
Yeah, and so it's just a lot of things that I see around me, but the actual relationship and the breakup and all of those things, that was the one thing that I had to sit down and decide what happened before I started writing, and that was fictional. I think I do good like with imagination.
Yes. Okay. It can be equally thrilling, exhilarating, and dangerous to be a writer's friend. Because when you're talking to the writer, you never know which part of your story is going to become part of the next novel that comes out. And sometimes it can be flattering, and other times it can be scary. Because what if somebody recognizes? So are your friends happy with you when they find a way in the book? Do they like it?
I tend to warn them, because if they mean enough to me, but like there are people in this book that I don't care about. Like,
really?
Yeah, they don't care about me.
There are people you don't care about?
Yeah, so many. Because they don't care about me, so whatever. I'm just...
So you think love is reciprocal? If you love someone and the person doesn't love you back, do you think love will be over then?
I think that's how it should be, because I don't think that it's healthy to fall in love with someone based on who they are. I think it's more important to fall in love with them based on how they make you feel. Because who cares if he's like, Brad Pitt? If he makes you feel shitty, then don't hang out with him anymore,
No, I love that. I love what you said just now, because I totally believe that. And I really think that if, medieval romances used to be a quest. Even romance today is a quest, but it's a quest within us.
Yeah.
We look within us, and all love and every emotion begins with you.
Yeah.
You love yourself, then you can love the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I always say the same thing which you just said, that any girl will love a man who makes her feel good about herself.
Yeah.
So ultimately it's me.
And it's the other way around too.
Absolutely,
So,
it's
yeah.
for mine as well.
Yeah.
So that's true. Now, you have, the title of one of your books is It Is Not Love If It Is Not Forever.
Yeah.
Or the other way around,
The
it's
other
not
way,
forever,
yeah.
it's not love.
Yeah.
Do you believe love is forever?
Maybe. I think we made a mistake with that title, to be honest. I don't think that's
And
true.
in any case, maybe it's unfair to ask you at such a young age this
Yeah.
question, because
Like, I
forever
don't know
is a
forever
long
love.
forever.
Yeah. But also, I mean, if you reverse the statement, it's incorrect, because if it's not forever, how, like, if you, for example, you were only together for, let's say, 2 years, and then you break up, but that doesn't mean that the love that you shared was not real. It's not everlasting. But what happened like 2 years ago, the way you felt about each other, that's still very, very real. So it's not true in the present, but it was very real. So I don't, that we made a mistake with the title.
That's true. No, we can always give it another perspective and another twist, because love is not necessarily just romance when we talk about
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Love is so expansive, it could include everybody and anybody, our parents, our siblings, our friends,
Yeah.
and so you look at love that way. But yes, forever doesn't mean that you cling on to a person forever. Like you said, the
Yeah.
emotion may outlast actually being with the person.
Yeah.
You know, if we're physically being with the person, it will still go beyond and outlast
Yeah.
that particular thing. And when you write romances, you've been writing romances all this time. Do you ever think about changing your genre as you've tried a new structure this time? Do you think in the next few novels or books you will be changing the genre at all?
Out of like the wide genre, I think fiction is my favorite. I've done like a little bit of poetry, not a poet at all. I've done one nonfiction. I write articles and stuff like that, but I think that's how, like, I want to limit my nonfiction to that, like articles once in a while, but I don't think I can write a whole book in nonfiction. Maybe I can, but I don't think I would get as much pleasure from it as I would from fiction. And if I'm only writing one book a year because there's so many other things happening in life that I can't do more, I would want it to be fiction. Maybe in the future, if I have more time and I mean, I can't even say that I won't do it, because what if I want to one day and I would just do it? So I'm very impulsive like that.
Never say never.
Yeah.
I want to do it again.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah.
This
We
book
all
also,
grow.
we thought about it and it happened like within months after that, and it's out now. So like 6 months ago, this book didn't exist even in our heads. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we all grow, we evolve with our art as we keep creating new stuff. What has been the trajectory of your evolution, your creative evolution? Like from the time you wrote your first book till today, what are the things that you think you really learned? What are the new techniques that you picked up?
For me, always like from the very beginning, the struggle was to like sort through all the emails that I get, basically, like all the feedback that I get, because I was 19, and then there's like, obviously there's 99% of people who like your work. I mean, out of the people who reach out to you, 99% of them like your book, but like there's 1% that don't, and or even like haven't read it. So like when you're that young, it bothers you a lot, and then slowly I realized how ungrateful I was being to like the people who do like and appreciate it, because I read the messages and I don't even think about it twice, but then the bad things just kind of stay with you. Like it's the last thing I read on Twitter before going to bed, and I just think about it so much. So I think also physically sort of distancing myself from this, because I was 22 when I moved to New York because for my master's, and that kind of gave me perspective, because then like this happened last year, something happened and there was like a whole bunch of articles just random about something, and I woke up and all of my friends had texted me different links from different, like they were like, what is going on? And I was like, literally does not affect my day at all, because I'm still gonna go make breakfast and go to work, and then I would come back and then I would meet my friends and then watch something on Netflix and go to bed. How does this affect my life?
And that's the only way to go on. That's the
Which is
only way.
actually true. Even if I was here, it was still true, because who cares what like someone over there is saying? But I think I've gotten better at accepting that, and that in turn has helped me with my writing, in the sense that now I am less skeptical of my own like work. I can focus on the content without wondering what people are going to think and what people are going to write about it or say about it, because honestly they have the right to, and I have the right to not care.
Yes, yeah. I guess when a celebrity puts herself or himself out in the public domain, or an author puts himself or herself out in the public domain, you will get bouquets and you will get brickbats, and you have to get.
But then also there's a difference between criticism and people just hating on you, and that also you need to learn to distinguish, because someone who actually bought the book or read the book and has actual like points to make about whatever they read and liked or disliked, I would pay attention to that, as opposed to, oh, you write this and I don't like the genre. Like, don't read it, like no one asked you to, like stuff like that. Yeah.
So if you're not interested in that particular thing, don't pick it up.
Yeah.
And why would you, even if you didn't like it, why would you go up to the author to tell the author that you're obviously just trying to
They
make
can,
attention?
but then also like the way that it's said in their sentence, you can tell if they're actually like, if it's an actual feedback or it's just like.
So, Nikita, we'll come to the passage that you have shared with Right India.
Yeah.
And the rules that you gave, and yours have been one of the most strict rules, I think, for participants. And so there must be some participants sitting here who are going to be participating in Right India and writing for you. So give them some cheat sheet.
So I sent you something else in the beginning. I wanted the story to be written in second person, but then we thought that we might not get as many entries because
she sent me something which is almost impossible for even the best authors to write, and she wanted something written like that.
I wanted it to be challenging, but she said maybe we won't get as many, people won't be able to because these are debut writers. So I was like, okay, fine.
And my greater fear was that they will keep calling us and asking us
the question,
what do we do?
yeah, how do we do this? And then there was also like rules that, yeah, the fantasy angle and stuff like that. So that was a little harder to do. So, and then also because February is the month of love, and then this book was coming out, so we wanted to make it all romance themed. So the next passage that I sent her, the one that's on the website now, is it's very like open, and I think I think every single person when they read that passage is automatically thinking about something, because it was about, it said something in the lines of, I never thought I would fall in love again, but until I met this person, and then that's where I left it. So then the author was supposed to pick it up from there and go into the past and like talk about what happened with this person, and then meet in the present, and then finish in the present. So yeah, so I kind of like imagined the story, and then I wanted them to have their own freedom, and I knew that this was something that would be more autobiographical for every single person, because everybody has experienced that. So I also wanted that structure, but at the same time I wanted freedom in terms of imagination.
This is what I like about this generation, you know, that they so openly say it's autobiographical for everyone. So they expect people to have fallen in love, out of it, back in love, out of it. I mean, some years ago we wouldn't even dream of saying such a thing. I mean, it would have happened probably, but you wouldn't say it out in public like that. But today's generation, and I think that is the big difference, you know.
Yeah.
That today you look at romance or love or the partner in your life also like another job. Like, you know, okay, fine, if he's here, he's here. If he's not, then another one, then another one. So you could, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just like, it's a process of experimentation, like you experiment with yourself and with a lot of things in life. You experiment with love and with people as well. And
also, if you think about it, population-wise, there are many people here, like in the world right now. So you tend to go through a couple of them, and also because the world is so well connected now with a web. So instead of your like reach only being your colleagues, like your co-workers or people who live around you and people who you know through your personal network, it's now opened up to the whole world pretty much. So you tend to like, because the number increases, so and you only have the limited amount of time, so the time becomes shorter with every single person.
And that's the problem of too much choice. Like you go to a food hall today and you want to pick up cornflakes. Earlier you used to just go and say Mohan's cornflakes there. Now you have so many different cornflakes that you're confused which one should I take. So you pick up one, try it, then another. So maybe love is also like conflicts in that sense. That you
have more choices,
more choices make it difficult always.
Yeah, you get confused.
Yeah, so which is why also probably a lot of discontent in life, because once you are hitched to someone, either married or you've chosen the man and the woman in your life, you do see a lot of others around, and you tend to wonder, did I make the right choice? Am I really in love? So those kind of questions. Are you dealing with those kind of questions in the near future? Wondering about whether you are in the love with the right person?
Yes. Actually, it's funny because she meant in my books. Uh, oh, that's my cousin. Ignore her.
Ignore her.
So in my next book, because that's a sequel to Every Time It Rains, and it takes forward Mahi's story, and so Siddhant, her ex-boyfriend, is with someone now, and then they meet again, sort of like their paths cross. So I wanted to write about that, like about it being right or wrong, and in the big picture, if it really matters, because if they're supposed to be together, then does it really matter that, you know? So stuff like that. So rules like that, I've been thinking about more and
I
more.
must be intuitive at it. I have no idea all this.
Yeah.
Statistics about that.
You haven't even read Every Time It Rains.
Also, the title of another of your books,
Yeah.
Falling in Love with the Same Person Again.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that? You fall out of love with one person and then fall back in love with the same person?
Yeah, I think it can happen, because if there were unresolved issues, and also especially if it's about timing, because two people can be very compatible and very much in love, but the timing doesn't work, and I think it's very crucial. Like chemistry and timing are the two things that are essential for like a successful relationship. So that's what, like, in after all this time, that's what happened. Like they were together, but she needed something else from her life, so she had to move away. But then when situations like they're put in a situation back again, they fall in love. So the timing is right for them now. I think that can totally happen.
Yeah, I'm sure. I agree with you. I really think that the best kind of relationships and love happen to a couple where there are acts of selective blindness,
Yeah.
selective deafness, and selective forgetting. You
Yeah.
have to forget to move on. You
Yeah.
have to forget some things to keep moving on. Now, I asked you to give a cheat sheet to Right India people. You didn't do that. You have to tell them
yeah.
what are the kind of stories that you will like, what are the kind of stories, what are you looking for in a story? When they write for you, what is going to really impress you?
I personally like plot-heavy stuff. So if they know what they're doing and if they know where their story is going, I think it's gonna show in their writing, because their words would be more confident, and I think that attracts me. I think it's not very like quantitative. Like I can't tell you what the exact way is to achieve that, but I think it just shows in your book.